Okay, pastors and ministry leaders, in this pastor training series, we're going to show you how to use the resources at pursueGOD.org to build a discipleship culture in your church or ministry. So these three basic lessons will really be a great introduction to our resources, and it'll help you and your pastoral team sort of think through some of the basic sort of things that you need to know in order to really use our system and use our tools to create a culture of discipleship in your church. Now, if you haven't done this already, check out the resources online. Just kind of browse the website before you come to this series. When you're ready, take a weekend or take a few weeks and do this series with your pastoral team and use the questions below to really sort of talk about all of these resources and the idea of a discipleship culture. But in this first lesson, we're going to talk about buying into the system, because really, that's what everyone around the table needs to do. You need to buy into the system if you really want to create a discipleship culture in your church. And here's what that means. First of all, you have to buy into the idea of discipleship. Now, as we define it, a discipleship culture is a place where everyone can get in the game and start helping people pursue God. So if you've got the kind of a church where you've got one pastor or a few pastors and you want to do all the work and you really don't want to release ministry to people in your church, then this system is really not for you, because when we say discipleship culture, we're talking about putting, power in the hands of the people, equipping people and empowering them to be difference makers, to be disciple makers throughout the church and throughout the community. So if you don't want to give away that kind of leadership to people, then this system isn't for you. Ephesians 4 says that the gifts that Christ gave to the church are the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, the pastors, and teachers. So those are like the paid staff. And look at what it says in verse 12. Their responsibility, the pastor's responsibility, is to equip God's people to do his work and to build up the church, the body of Christ. And so, we believe that ultimately the healthiest kind of church is a church with a discipleship culture that Paul's describing there in Ephesians 4. That the paid staff are there not to do all the ministry, but to equip the people to do the ministry. And so that's what we mean by discipleship culture. And if you can buy into that, then you're ready to move on to the next thing. And here it is. You got to buy into the basics in our library. So our library is designed to equip people with the basic tools, conversational tools, so they can bring those conversations into their small groups, into their families, into their neighborhoods, into their workplaces, into their homes, everywhere. And so make sure that you check out some of the basic series in our library, like the Foundation series and the Christian Basics and Marriage Basics. I mean, you can check everything out, but those basic series, if you don't sort of buy into those basic frameworks, just real simple things, real basic biblical worldview type of stuff. But if you can't, as a team, buy into those basic things, the system's not for you, because most of our resources really build off of those basic, simple frameworks. And so make sure you check those out and buy into those basics. And then here's the third thing. You have to buy into the infrastructure. See, our system equips three primary groups that we believe make up the basic discipleship infrastructure of any typical church. And here it is. Number one, it's families. See, we believe that parents are the pastors at home. And so our tools equip parents at home to have these life-changing conversations on a weekly basis. So that's number one. Number two, small groups. We believe that small groups are sort of a real functional component. It's really important organizationally in your church. And so a lot of our tools can be used in small groups, and we encourage you to use them throughout your small groups. And then number three, we believe in what we call mentors. So mentors are sort of the basic building block of a discipleship culture. Now, we use the word mentors. Jesus used the word disciple maker. We just decided to use a term that's a little bit more generally understood in culture today. So when we say mentor, we mean an individual person who is personally equipped to walk alongside somebody and help them to pursue God. And that really is what a discipleship culture is about, is everyone is equipped to do that. Not everyone's going to have a family and be a parent. Not everyone's going to be gifted to lead a small group. But we really believe that every Christian can be a mentor, can be a disciple maker. In fact, that's the whole premise of a discipleship culture, and that's the whole point of our library. So why don't you use those resources below now and talk about this with your leadership team and make sure you can buy into the system.